Imagine waking up one morning in a perfectly temperature-controlled room. The sheets are soft, the air is mild, the coffee machine hums at exactly the right time. Your day unfolds without resistance. No traffic, no disagreements, no hunger, no real uncertainty. You are cocooned in safety. Every need is anticipated, every discomfort neutralized. And yet, a question gnaws at you. Why, in the midst of such ease, do you feel strangely hollow? You tell yourself you should be grateful. Isn't this what people have always dreamed of? Security, predictability, the elimination of pain? For centuries, humanity fought tooth and nail against chaos, famine, disease, and war, all in pursuit of stability. And now, in your small corner of the world, you find yourself surrounded by convenience, by comfort. But instead of fullness, there's a quiet emptiness pressing against the edges of your mind. Here lies the paradox. What if comfort is not the same as happiness? What if, in fact, the pursuit of comfort is the very thing keeping you from the deeper joy you long for? You see, comfort feels like happiness because it removes the friction of life. It seduces you with warmth, ease, and familiarity. It tells you, rest here. You've earned it. Why struggle when everything can be soft? But comfort has a secret. The more you surrender to it, the more it dulls you. It keeps you in a narrow loop where nothing hurts, but nothing truly awakens you either. Ask yourself, how many moments of your life that felt truly alive were comfortable? Was it when you stood trembling before a great unknown, or when you sat numbed by routine? Was it in the safety of predictability or in the terrifying exhilaration of risk? Think of the moments your heart raced, your soul cracked open, when you felt both fear and wonder tangled together. Did they not come with struggle, with discomfort, with the unfamiliar? So why then do we cling to comfort like it's salvation? Why do we design our lives around it, measure our progress by how much of it we can secure, equate its presence with happiness? Could it be that in chasing comfort, we're actually chasing a kind of living death? A numbed existence where we feel less pain, yes, but also less meaning. This is not just a personal dilemma. Entire societies are built around the worship of comfort. Advertising sells it. Technology promises it. Culture reinforces it. The message is constant. The better life is the easier life. But if that's true, why do so many who have it all, the soft beds, the stocked kitchens, the endless entertainment, still feel restless, dissatisfied, even depressed? Maybe the issue isn't that we lack enough comfort, but that we've confused its presence for the essence of happiness itself. And here's the unsettling possibility. What if happiness is not found in avoiding discomfort, but in facing it? What if the very thing we think we must escape is the key to a deeper, more vital existence? Comfort whispers promises of peace, but does it not also breed stagnation? When every day feels the same, when nothing challenges you, when no new edge is crossed, do you not wither, even as you remain safe? And when discomfort comes, through heartbreak, loss, or challenge, does it not awaken something raw and undeniable within you? Here we arrive at the great question, the one that unsettles every quiet soul who has ever wondered why they feel empty even when life is good. What if the pursuit of comfort blinds us to the very conditions that make happiness possible? This is not a question to dismiss lightly, for it cuts against everything we've been taught to believe. But perhaps it is the question you must face if you wish to move beyond mere survival into something deeper, fuller, more radiant. And so, let us step further. Let us peel back the layers and ask, why do we so easily mistake comfort for happiness? What hidden forces in our psychology, in our culture, in the very structure of our lives drive this confusion? The answers lie deeper than you might expect.
Why do we cling so desperately to comfort, even when some quiet part of us knows it isn't the same as happiness? To understand this, we must turn inward into the hidden layers of the human psyche, and outward into the cultural forces that shape us without our consent. Carl Jung once warned that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Perhaps comfort is one of those absurdities. It keeps us safe, not just from physical pain, but from the unbearable weight of looking too closely at ourselves. When life is easy, there is less friction to stir the deeper questions. Comfort then becomes a shield, protection not just against the world, but against our own shadows. But protection has a cost. Consider the psychology of adaptation. The human nervous system is wired not for happiness, but for survival. Once upon a time, safety meant life, and danger meant death. A predictable environment allowed our ancestors to conserve energy, to survive long enough to pass on their genes. Our modern craving for comfort is in many ways a biological echo of this ancient drive for stability. We are wired to seek out the path of least resistance. And yet, Nietzsche once declared that man is a rope stretched between animal and Übermensch, a rope over an abyss. To live only in comfort is to remain on the animal side of the rope, never daring to step into the dizzying air above the abyss. Comfort appeals to the part of us that wants safety, but happiness belongs to the part of us that longs for transcendence, for growth, for becoming more. This tension between biology and spirit lies at the root of our confusion. We are animals with instincts to preserve ourselves, but also beings haunted by the hunger for meaning. Comfort satisfies the animal, but starves the soul. And yet we cannot resist it because the animal brain is louder, more immediate. It shouts, "Stay safe, stay warm, stay fed." Meanwhile, the soul whispers, "Risk, strive, break open, become." And most of us listen to the louder voice. Philosophers have wrestled with this dilemma for centuries. Schopenhauer, for example, argued that human life is driven by endless striving, desire, suffering, and temporary relief. Comfort, in his view, is merely a brief pause in this cycle, not happiness itself. It numbs the ache, but does not cure it. Sartre took another angle, insisting that freedom, not comfort, defines human existence. To live authentically is to confront the anguish of freedom, to take responsibility for shaping one's life. But freedom is uncomfortable, even terrifying. Thus, many retreat into what he called bad faith, choosing the false security of roles, routines, and comforts instead of facing the abyss of possibility. If you look closer, you'll see this everywhere in modern life. Why do we binge-watch shows, scroll endlessly on phones, or wrap ourselves in the predictability of routines? Because these things feel safe, easy, and familiar. They are modern forms of comfort, mechanisms to avoid the anxiety of stillness, silence, or unstructured thought. In those quiet spaces, we might have to face the deeper truths of who we are and what we lack. Aldous Huxley in Brave New World envisioned a society where comfort had become the highest good. Citizens were pacified with pleasure, sedated with drugs, numbed from pain and conflict. They were happy in the shallow sense, free of suffering, free of tension. And yet their humanity was diminished. Without struggle, without longing, without the friction of real life, they became docile, empty. Is our world today so different? Every new technology promises more convenience. Every cultural message glorifies ease, and yet rates of depression, anxiety, and despair continue to rise. Viktor Frankl, survivor of the Holocaust, offers perhaps the most piercing insight. He observed that human beings can endure unimaginable suffering if they find meaning in it. Happiness, he argued, is not something we pursue directly, but something that emerges as a byproduct of meaning. And meaning often requires discomfort, even suffering. In the absence of struggle, people lose their sense of purpose. So when we confuse comfort with happiness, we rob ourselves not only of meaning, but of the chance to discover who we are in the face of challenge. This hidden problem, then, is twofold. Biologically, we are drawn to comfort as a survival instinct. Culturally, we are conditioned to glorify it as the ultimate good. Together, these forces trap us in a cycle where comfort masquerades as happiness, and we rarely question the disguise. But the disguise is fragile. Deep down, you know it. Why else would you feel restless even when everything is fine? Why do people with wealth, luxury, and endless convenience so often describe their lives as empty, dull, or meaningless? Comfort promises relief, but it cannot give depth. It offers safety, but not growth. It soothes the body, but it starves the spirit. The roots of this problem are buried deep in our psychology and philosophy. To confront them is unsettling because it forces us to admit that the very thing we chase most, ease, predictability, security, might be leading us further from the life we long for. And yet the cost of ignoring this truth is even greater. For the longer we mistake comfort for happiness, the more we risk losing ourselves entirely. And so we must now ask, if comfort is not happiness, what does it do to us when we live as if it is? What unseen consequences unfold in our lives, in our relationships, in our societies when we let comfort become our compass? The answers reveal something far more troubling than mere dissatisfaction. They reveal how comfort quietly reshapes us, bending not just our choices, but the very fabric of our identity.
Imagine a river that once flowed with fierce currents, carving valleys, shaping landscapes, giving life wherever it passed. Now imagine that same river dammed, stilled, redirected into stagnant pools. On the surface, it seems calm, even peaceful, but beneath, the water grows murky, lifeless. This is what happens to the human spirit when comfort replaces the struggle for meaning. The first consequence is stagnation. Comfort lulls us into stillness, into routines that repeat endlessly. Days blur together until weeks and years pass unnoticed. You may find yourself asking, where did the time go? Comfort numbs the urgency of life, tricking you into thinking you have forever, when in truth, every moment wasted in passivity is a moment stolen from possibility. Neurologically, this makes sense. The brain, when deprived of novelty and challenge, stops growing. Neural pathways that once fired with energy begin to weaken. Comfort tells you that learning, striving, pushing boundaries are optional. And so slowly, invisibly, the mind becomes duller, less adaptive, less alive. What feels like safety is in truth the quiet erosion of your own potential. The second consequence is dependence. Comfort has an addictive quality. Once you taste it, you crave more. The soft bed, the familiar routine, the predictable pattern, all of it whispers, stay here, don't risk anything. Each small surrender reinforces the habit until the idea of discomfort, whether it's speaking up, trying something new, or confronting a difficult truth, feels unbearable. Over time, this dependence breeds fragility. The smallest disruption, An unexpected change, a minor hardship, can shatter the illusion of stability, leaving you anxious, unprepared, even broken. This fragility extends beyond individuals and seeps into entire societies. Cultures that glorify comfort lose resilience. They breed citizens who fear risk, who prefer security over freedom, who mistake convenience for progress. They become easy to pacify, easy to control. Bread and circuses in ancient Rome, streaming platforms and fast food in the modern world. The tools change, but the principle remains the same. Keep people comfortable, and you keep them quiet. The third consequence is alienation. Comfort isolates you from the raw textures of existence, the struggle, the hunger, the awe that come from living fully. Think of the satisfaction of climbing a mountain, your muscles burning, lungs straining, only to be rewarded with a view that makes the pain worthwhile. Now compare that to sitting in front of a screen, passively consuming a simulated experience. The first expands you, the second shrinks you. Yet comfort seduces you to choosing the smaller life. Over time, this choice creates a chasm between who you are and who you could be. Psychologically, this alienation often manifests as depression or anxiety. On the surface, nothing is wrong. You have food, shelter, entertainment, maybe even love. And yet something gnaws at you. That gnawing is your deeper self crying out against the prison of comfort. It is the hunger for struggle, for meaning, for becoming, disguised as emptiness or despair. And then comes the most dangerous consequence of all, the erosion of identity. Comfort doesn't just dull your mind or weaken your resilience, it reshapes who you believe yourself to be. Each time you avoid discomfort, you send yourself a message. I am someone who cannot handle pain. I am someone who chooses ease over growth. Over time, this becomes a story you live inside, a cage built of your own choices. You begin to mistake this smaller, safer version of yourself for your true self, but it isn't. It is a mask woven by fear. Carl Jung warned that what we refuse to confront in ourselves eventually controls us from the shadows. When we mistake comfort for happiness, we repress the parts of us that long for challenge, adventure, transformation. Those unexpressed parts sink into the unconscious, where they grow darker, more distorted. Eventually, they emerge as midlife crises, self-destructive habits, or sudden, inexplicable dissatisfaction. The shadow will not be silenced. It will find its way back into the light, often in destructive forms, if we do not face it willingly. On a societal level, the erosion of identity becomes cultural decay. A people too addicted to comfort lose their vision. They no longer dream big or risk boldly. They trade innovation for imitation, passion for distraction, freedom for predictability. Nietzsche's warning echoes here. When comfort becomes the highest value, a culture breeds what he called the last man, a being who seeks only security and ease, who avoids struggle at all costs, and who mistakes mediocrity for fulfillment. And yet the cruelest irony is that this life of comfort, far from protecting us from suffering, creates a different kind of suffering, one more insidious, harder to name. It is the suffering of emptiness, of drifting without anchor, of living a life that feels safe but meaningless. You are spared the pain of risk, but condemned to the pain of regret. Think of the countless people who, at the end of their lives, say not, "I wish I had been safer," but "I wish I had lived more boldly." Comfort shields you from immediate discomfort, but it steals from you the very thing that makes life worth living, the chance to grow, to transform, to discover who you are through struggle. So now the question grows sharper, more urgent. If comfort is not happiness, and if it slowly robs us of identity, resilience, and meaning, then what is the alternative? Must we seek suffering for its own sake? Or is there a way to break free from the prison of comfort without descending into chaos? The rebellion begins not by rejecting comfort entirely, but by seeing it for what it truly is, a tool, not a destination. And in this recognition lies the first crack in the illusion, a doorway into freedom.
Imagine standing at the edge of a warm, familiar pool, water still and safe. Behind you is the soft glow of security, the predictable rhythm of days without risk. Ahead, a dark, churning river roars, wild and unknown. Every instinct tells you to stay where it is comfortable, to linger in ease. And yet, a quiet, insistent voice asks, what if life exists not in safety, but in the currents you fear most? This is the point where rebellion begins, not against the world, but against the tyranny of comfort within yourself. To break free, you must first admit the truth you've been avoiding. Comfort has been controlling you. It has been masquerading as happiness while quietly narrowing the scope of your life. Recognizing this is the first act of courage. To see your own sedation for what it is and to name it is to start reclaiming your agency. The rebellion is never passive. It begins with small, deliberate discomforts, choosing moments that stretch you, challenge you, force you to confront fear or uncertainty. Speak when you would remain silent. Step into new experiences when the familiar beckons. Push your body, mind, or heart into realms that feel uncomfortable, because therein lies the raw material of transformation. Viktor Frankl observed that human beings survive unimaginable suffering not by avoiding it, but by finding meaning within it. The rebel seeks not to avoid life's trials, but to embrace them consciously, to extract wisdom from them before they break you. History offers countless examples of this kind of rebellion. Consider explorers, artists, or philosophers who dared to leave the safe shores of conventional life. Nietzsche, who walked long solitary journeys in the Alps, embraced both physical discomfort and existential questioning, forging ideas that continued to challenge humanity. The Stoics of antiquity trained themselves to endure scarcity, heat, cold, and loss, cultivating resilience and clarity. These were individuals who rejected the illusion of comfort and sought the deeper prize, self-mastery, wisdom, and authentic experience. But rebellion need not be grandiose. It is most powerful in the everyday. It can take the form of resisting mindless routines, questioning cultural expectations, or confronting personal truths you've long ignored. It is the act of saying no to the numbing devices around you, screens, habits, social conformity, and saying yes to the life that demands presence, courage, and engagement. Each small act compounds, forming a network of resistance that begins to reshape your identity. Philosophically, this rebellion is an embrace of existential responsibility. Sartre insisted that we are condemned to be free. That is, freedom is inescapable, and the choices we make define us. Choosing comfort, unquestioned, is a choice nonetheless, a passive surrender of freedom. The rebel chooses differently. They take ownership of discomfort, risk, and consequence. They understand that meaning is forged in the crucible of action, not in the softness of passivity. This rebellion also demands confrontation with the self. The parts of you have been avoiding, the fears, doubts, shadows, longings, must be met openly.
Only by facing them head-on can you untangle the patterns that have tied you to comfort. Jung called this process individuation, integrating the conscious and the unconscious, light and shadow, ease and struggle, to become a whole human being. True freedom comes not from eliminating discomfort, but from understanding it, working with it, and allowing it to fuel growth. Breaking free requires cultivating a tolerance for uncertainty. Life outside comfort is unpredictable, often frightening. But each encounter with the unknown teaches something that safety never could. You learn that failure is not annihilation, but information. That fear is not paralysis, but a signal that something vital is at stake. That the world is not a threat to your survival, but a field in which your character, your passions, and your meaning are forged. In practice, this rebellion can take many forms: deliberately seeking new challenges, embracing physical exertion or creative risks, learning a difficult skill, traveling into unfamiliar environments, or pursuing a goal that stretches your limits. It can be as intimate as confronting a difficult conversation or acknowledging a painful truth about yourself. Each act is a seed of liberation. And here is the subtle but profound shift. Once you embrace discomfort as necessary, once you see it as the vehicle for growth rather than a threat to safety, the world itself transforms. Challenges become invitations, hardships become teachers, and your own limits become doorways. Comfort is no longer a tyrant, nor is struggle an enemy. It is the pathway toward a deeper, more vibrant existence. Ultimately, the rebellion is not against comfort alone, but against the complacency, fear, and illusions that allow comfort to dominate your life. It is a conscious choice to live deliberately, to risk, to grow, and to pursue what is meaningful over what is easy. In this defiance, something remarkable emerges: courage, vitality, and the beginnings of true happiness. Not the hollow satisfaction of ease, but the profound fulfillment born from living fully, awake, and engaged.
Imagine for a moment, standing at the edge of a vast canyon at sunset. The colors of the sky bleed into one another, crimson, bold, violet, painting a horizon so breathtaking it feels almost unreal. You are alone, yet something in this immensity resonates deep within you. It whispers a truth you have long suspected but never fully grasped. The life you have been seeking, happiness, fulfillment, meaning, has never existed in comfort alone. It has always been entwined with risk, struggle, and the willingness to confront the unknown. Here lies the ultimate realization. Happiness is not a destination, nor is it found in the accumulation of ease or security. It is a byproduct of a life lived fully, where comfort is a tool, not the master. To mistake comfort for happiness is to mistake the shadow for the light, the pause for the crescendo, the mask for the face beneath. True joy, true vitality emerges not from avoiding challenge, but from engaging it, willingly, courageously, and consciously. This truth reframes everything. Every moment of fear, uncertainty, and discomfort you have tried to avoid suddenly takes on a new meaning. The awkward conversation, the failure, the loss, the unknown, they are not obstacles to your happiness. They are its raw material. Frankl's insight becomes clear. Meaning is born in the tension between what is and what could be, in the conscious choice to rise above mere survival and embrace life's complexities. Happiness does not arrive when suffering ends. It arises when suffering is transformed into purpose. Philosophically, this insight echoes through the ages. Nietzsche's call to embrace life as it is, with all its chaos and beauty, is no longer abstract. It becomes an actionable lens through which to live.
Schopenhauer's observation that human existence is shaped by striving, not comfort, resonates as an affirmation rather than a lament. Jung's insistence on confronting the shadow, integrating the hidden parts of the self, becomes not a burden, but a pathway to wholeness. To live fully is to embrace the totality of your experience, the light, the shadow, the ease, and the struggle, without denying any part of it. And here is the paradox that completes the circle. The more you embrace discomfort consciously, the more freedom you gain. Each act of facing uncertainty, of stepping beyond ease, loosens the chains that comfort has quietly wrapped around your identity. You no longer define yourself by what is safe, but by what is alive. You discover a resilience and depth you may have suspected, but never known. A life that vibrates with authenticity, intensity, and purpose. This realization transforms your relationship with the world. You begin to see that what once seemed threatening, the unknown, the unpredictable, the painful, is in fact the canvas on which the masterpiece of your life is painted. Fear is no longer a signal to retreat, it is a compass pointing toward growth. Risk is no longer a danger to avoid, it is the medium through which courage, mastery, and joy emerge. Comfort is no longer a substitute for happiness, it is a temporary respite, a tool to gather strength, not the goal itself. In this new understanding, existence itself becomes radiant. Every choice carries weight. Every moment carries significance. Every interaction is infused with the possibility for learning, for connection, for transformation. The trivialities that once consumed you, the endless distractions, the hollow routines, the passive consumption of life, fade in importance. You see clearly the contours of your own agency, the power to shape your experience, the profound freedom to live deliberately, awake, and fully present. The final, most powerful revelation is this: happiness is never given, never bought, never secured. It is claimed through courage, nurtured through struggle, and recognized in the integration of shadow and light within yourself. To live fully is to accept that discomfort is not your enemy, but your ally, that fear is not your prison, but your guide, that struggle is not a punishment, but a pathway. And when you step into this understanding, the hollow emptiness that comfort once promised to fill is replaced by a luminous vitality that no external condition can ever replicate. So as the sun dips below the canyon rim and the sky trembles with its final blaze of color, you understand your life, in all its uncertainty and imperfection, is enough. Every fear you have faced, every risk you have taken, every shadow you have embraced has brought you here, to this edge of clarity, to this moment of awakening. You are not merely alive, you are fully alive. And in that aliveness, happiness emerges not as a possession, but as a living, breathing consequence of your courage and choice. Step forward then. Step into the currents that once terrified you. Embrace the unknown, face the shadow, and discover the hidden power that has always been within you. The power to live fully, to grow endlessly, and to find true happiness in the courage to confront the life you were always meant to claim.